I had a request, and it's a pretty intense one. It's on torture. Let's just get to that right off the bat. The question was, could I explain the subject of torture? If someone was a POW, what would you do? They said they hoped there was a way to avoid it. This was posted on my The Truth About Suicide video, so I don't think this was about a past life question. My interpretation was that perhaps they are in the military, they're worried about becoming a POW, and if they would experience torture. However, it could also be about perhaps in the past, in this current life, they experienced torture, how to heal from it. Not really sure. So I'm going to talk about all of it. I'm going to talk about all of the different aspects from what I have learned and understood through all of my various studies, coming from a place where I've learned a lot about near-death experiences, mediums, all of the different religions, spirituality in general, past life regressions, et cetera, et cetera. Throughout all of it, there seems to be a common reality and a common theme, and I like to synthesize that together to help you understand this fabric of the world that we live in and how we can navigate it a little bit more successfully and a little bit more happily, if that is possible. So, torture, big topic. I'm going to definitely put in markers here because you might decide to just jump ahead to an area that is interesting to you. I don't want to shortchange any of this, so I might be talking a lot. First, let's talk about why we might experience torture. I have to say at the beginning of this, I have not personally experienced torture in this life. I have experienced some pretty horrible things, but not torture. So I am speaking from a limited viewpoint. So please caveat that, understand that I'm not speaking from a lived experience on this. That said, why might we have torture in this life? I was going to say planned torture, but I don't want to use that word. Let me back up a bit, why I say that. Before we come into form, just to set the table here, if you don't know this already, before we come into form, we plan our lives. What does that mean? Does that mean we plan every detail of our life? No. It's more like we're going on a road trip and we plan different things we're going to do along the way so that we have a particular experience. We're going to go on a road trip where we want to understand the history of the Northeast part of the United States. Therefore, we plan visits to historical locations versus if we were doing it to visit all of the amusement parks, etc. So we plan various events in our life, but we don't plan everything. And sometimes things happened to us. It could happen for a variety of reasons, but that essentially it comes into our reality because it's something that, I'm going to be careful here because I don't want to, this is heavy. This is heavy. I don't want to victim blame because but that essentially there's something in our energy field that magnetizes these different types of experiences to us because our soul sees it as an opportunity for us to awaken and grow. Sometimes we have these really hard, horrible experiences in our life because we want to make it really loud and really challenging so that we are pushed to our breaking point so that we wake up and realize that we are more than our physical body, that we are more than our life experience, that we are more than our pain and our identity and our fears, etc., that we are actually divine beings, that we are God. That's the end goal, is to realize that we are God. If that is the point, if we are gods, I hear you all say it, why would we put ourselves through the experience of torture? Why would we do that? It's a great question. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I can't say that there's one answer to that because a soul is going to see some benefit from that experience. It's going to be very unique to the soul. So it could be that through going through the torture experience, they realize that they are not their body. Maybe they have a way, because of the extreme amount of pain, that they have to find a way to manage the pain or separate themselves from the pain. And in doing so, they pull themselves out of their physical body and seat themselves in their soul more. So it could be a way of realizing their soul. It could be a karmic balancing, meaning perhaps they inflicted torture on somebody else. And so they're now choosing not being punished. They're choosing to experience the other side of that so that they can be in balance. Everything in this physical universe likes balance, like a seesaw. Karma is not punishment, it is a balancing. We don't have to, we can actually escape karma. That'd have to be a different video because torture is enough to get into. It could be that because of a past life experience, we elect to undergo torture to receive what we have done to another person or other people. But please do not think that because somebody is tortured, that means that they did that to somebody else. Like I said, that's just one particular option. Another reason a soul might choose it, I keep on saying soul because the human personality, right? We all know this. We're not choosing this. Our soul will choose things that our human personality would never, never, never choose. But our soul understands that the pain is temporary and it isn't real. And so it's like, sure, sign me up. I know I'm going to grow like a mother after this experience. So I'm digging into it. And meanwhile, the personality is like, why are you doing this to me? Because of that, the soul may choose to experience this because of the healing aspect, because of going through the healing process after it's concluded, that it might give it a chance to see how powerful it is, how strong it is. Maybe there's other healing that gets done alongside of the trauma from the torture. Nutshell, there can be a lot of different reasons that somebody experiences torture in this lifetime, whether it was planned or it was something that their soul realized was an opportunity in the moment and signed up for it. If this is something that you have experienced, you do not need to blame yourself. Nobody needs to blame somebody or judge somebody or say, this is my fault or something like that, because that's not the game. That's not the game. The game is more that you realize that you are so powerful and amazing. You are so brave that you've chosen to experience something because you knew it was going to create a powerful experience for you. If anything, it should be one of amazement and honor that you went through something like this, that you went through something so horrible and horrific that you were that brave. Like, somebody who climbs, Mount Everest, something that's really hard. Anybody that goes and does something that's really hard and painful because they know that they'll be better for it. That's more of what the experience is about. I'm going to talk about a few more things, actually. I'm not done. A few more things that we have the opportunity in experiencing torture that we can learn from or experience. Reactivate these parts of our soul or bring these parts of our soul into our human experience. So one is compassion and forgiveness. If you can get to the place where you can forgive the person who tortured you, that's extremely powerful. Hard. But if you can get to that point where you can experience that forgiveness, you're bringing that into your human experience and deepening that remembering within yourself. Resilience, right? Being able to experience how resilient you are, how strong you are, to continue to keep going, even though you've experienced something extremely horrible and traumatic. Sometimes it's about breaking cycles as well. By going through this experience, you're going to be breaking the cycle of powerlessness. It could be that a very extreme situation like torture, where maybe you've always been somebody that has had these powerless roles or have seen yourself as powerless, it pushes you to the brink of a completely powerless victimized situation so that you awaken and say, no, that's not who I am. I am a powerful being, and it activates that by pushing you and pushing you and pushing you and pushing you until you eventually have to push back. Now, granted, in that particular situation, probably not a lot of room for that, but that is an opportunity that it might present. understanding that it also could be afterwards, that feeling of powerlessness is something that you carry with you after the experience. So again, it's through the healing of feeling powerlessness that you get brought back to your feeling of power. The opportunities to learn here is to really learn about love, forgiveness, compassion, etc., the experience people have, right? Empathy, or it's about power, how powerful you are, that you, even in a situation where you are victimized, you are still extremely powerful, even if you don't have physical power in that moment. And finally, sometimes these experiences are chosen on a collective level. I'm talking like Holocaust sort of level, where you have large groups of people that are experiencing these really traumatic events, that it's about a collective healing. So that these souls, before they came into form, or perhaps even as they are in form, the soul agreed to take on this experience that's helping balance some collective karma or experience some collective healing, or to provide a collective opportunity for the world or a particular group of humans to wake up and learn something and change, and to realize that's not who we are. That's not who we are. We are not people that do this. And it gives a chance for humanity to evolve and step forward. So it's sort of a honored sacrifice in a way. Okay, so that goes over why an experience like that might happen. Now let's talk about what if it's happening right now versus what if it happened in the past versus what if you're afraid it's going to happen, okay? Depending on what the particular situation is. So let's talk about if it's happening right now. Now, despite everything, or not despite, but maybe because of everything that I just said, if you are in a situation where you're being abused, tortured, or whatever it might be, and you can get out of it, there is no version of reality that you need to stay and continue to take it if you have any opportunity to get out of it. Now, obviously, not everybody does have opportunities to get out of it. Get it. Dear God, if you are dealing with this right now, I just want you to know, I'm sending an immense amount of love to you right now, an immense amount of love and power and support to you right now. I want you to clearly hear this. You do not need to stay in this situation to balance out karma. You leaving this situation and saying, I won't put up with this, I deserve more than this, is the desired outcome. The desired outcome is to love yourself and see your own power to get out of it. That is your goal. You do not need to take anything. You do not need to take anything. Get out, get help. There's a lot of help out there for you, depending on what your unique situation is. That's if you can get out. First off, get out. Unfortunately, you might not be in a situation that you can get out. You could be trapped or imprisoned. What do you do? Again, I'm saying I haven't had this as a lived experience, so I will share with you what I have and what my research has shown, etc. I hope it is helpful in some way, but not having gone through it myself, my experience is limited. And so I can tell you what I would do in this situation. First off, I'm a huge believer in guides and angels, whether they have wings or not, but other beings on the other side. And I will tell you, the very first thing I would be doing would be to ask for help. If you, even in these situations, if you don't ask for help, your guides on the other side, the beings that are there to help you, are going to let you have this experience because they see that your soul wants to have this challenging experience. Like if you're asking for help, whether it's through prayer, auditorily talking to your guides, mentally talking to your guides, ask for help. That is the first thing that I would do, would be asking for help, whether it's pain relief, whether it's rescue, whatever it might be. I would be asking for whatever help I could possibly get. The second thing I would do would be to do energy work, because I'm an energy practitioner. So that's where I'm going to go. And so what I would probably be doing is I would be grounding myself. And quick little tidbit on grounding, you can just imagine from your hips. It seems so silly in the light of torture, but I'm going to move forward. Imagine from your hips like roots or a light or a waterfall, something that resonates with you. From your hips, it goes all the way down to the center of the earth. And why grounding? Because it's going to help you feel safer and more protected, and you can pull up energy from the earth as well to help you in your physical healing and to feel a little bit safer and more grounded. I would also be working on an energetic shield. In that situation, I'd probably start playing with titanium. I'd be working on whatever the heaviest, most serious shield I can, so that if I can keep at least out the energy of the other person as much as I could. And then filling in with some bright love light, some soothing light. Again, I feel like it's kind of like a match at a dark pit, but I would pull on every single resource I possibly could, because you never know. The third, and I think the most important, is the mind. Your thoughts are power. They're powerful. And what you say to yourself in your head is going to help create and shape your experience. The more you can tell yourself, I am powerful, I am strong, I am above this, whatever positive things you can say to build up your feeling of personal power, I think would be the way I would be approaching this. Even if I don't believe it, just to continue to put words of personal power in my brain, because this is a power dynamic that's happening. And the opportunity is for you to feel powerful. So the more you can shore that up in your mind, the more you might be able to shift the situation, or at least not allow yourself to be broken by the situation. Finally, also kind of on the alignment of the mind, is the ultimate opportunity here is to sit back into your soul and observe the pain and observe the experience, so that you don't have to be the pain and be the experience. It's almost that your soul is behind your mind. So if you can get kind of behind your mind and look and say, oh, I'm feeling pain. I'm feeling pain. And to remove yourself from the experience of it and become the watcher, become the witness of it. That is also an approach I would take. I don't think any of this is easy. I don't think that any of this is easy. And I think in the moment, whatever you can do that makes you feel a little better, whatever that is what you should do. Whatever that is. There's no judgment here. There's no judgment anywhere. Whatever you need to do to survive is what you need to do to survive. Finally, I want to talk, when we're still in about the moment, I want to talk about, this is heavy. It's all heavy. Death. Sometimes torture ends in death. Somebody that I'm connected to actually has experienced this. I do know somebody who was kidnapped and tortured and raped and murdered. So this last little tidbit is for those of you who have had this experience, or maybe if you find yourself in this experience and it ends in death. What I have been told, and even this person I think gave me this message as well, but also what I have read and learned, is that in such a situation, the spirit gets pulled out of the body so that the spirit doesn't have to experience what is happening in the physical body at that moment of death. Or even, prior to that, it's that, disassociation. You don't have to die for this to happen as well. It's that disassociation being pulled out of the body. That is also a possibility in such a situation, that it doesn't have to be experienced by the spirit, what the body is going through. I told you this was a heavy subject. So if that is how someone dies, of course, on the other side, there's going to be an immense amount of healing awaiting them. They are going to be so taken care of and so nurtured and taken to the healing center and be provided an opportunity where they can get some deep nourishment and care and rest and solitude before they return to everyone else. So just know that there is an immense amount of support and love and healing awaiting for somebody that's had that experience, whether that was at the moment of death or earlier in their life and they're still carrying that trauma with them into death. There is healing for that experience. Okay, so now I'm going to need to do some energy work after this video because this is heavy stuff. So I hope you also do something light and happy after this video because this is a little intense. Okay, let's talk about if this is something that you have experienced in your life. You've gone through the horrible horror of this experience and are trying to recover from it. Now, of course, the first thing I'm going to recommend is go to trauma therapy. There are tons of different types of healers and therapists out there that specialize in helping people through this and probably have a far deeper wealth of knowledge on how you can heal than I have, because that's not something that I was trained in and it's not something that I've experienced myself. So first, go to people who know what they're talking about and who can really help you. Now, again, I will talk from my experience and what I would do in this situation. I would try to understand what it was that my soul potentially wanted to get out of this. I would imagine it was probably something around power. And so I would begin to look at, okay, if my goal was to feel powerful, what are the things that I can do in my life that are going to help me feel powerful? How can I start with what I think about myself? Which usually where it all begins is in our thoughts. I'd be looking at my thoughts to see how I might be currently carrying that trauma and damage around from that experience, what I might be feeling about myself as well, what the feelings and the thoughts are that need transformation, that help me get to the end point where I see myself as this powerful, bright light. There's going to be something that needs to be released or healed or worked through. I might go through that through introspection. I might go through that through meditation. I might go through that through working with my spirit guides and dialoguing and seeing if they have any insights for me. I might go through some past life regressions because this could be a pattern from previous lives that's popping up again now. So I might want to go back and understand what the various lives were so that I can end the karmic cycle and move forward. And I would do energy work. Again, I'm an energy person. So the idea is that that trauma is still living in my astral or your astral field. And so if you can do the work to bring in bright light and to heal it and to clear it, whatever it might be, I would recommend working with energy practitioners. I'm one. You can work with me if you choose to, but certainly you don't need to. I'll post my website, the link, if you want to work with me, down below. If you want to also look into understanding the life lessons behind all of it, that's also the work that I do, so that you can untangle those knots and move forward and let this be a learning experience that you put behind you. That's something that we can work on together. But again, work with who you need to work with and work with what works for you. That's going to be your best path forward. But yes, energy work that you can really help release some of that trauma or whatever that karmic cycle is. And of course, if you can get to forgiveness as well, that's always really great. It's a forgiveness. I like to think of it as not a gift you're giving to somebody else, but a gift you're giving to yourself. For me, at least, my picture around forgiveness is about letting go, that I'm not holding on to that experience anymore, that it becomes an experience that happened in my past that I can look at, and it isn't something that I'm carrying around with me day to day as part of my current existence and identity. Like, it's not your identity. It might feel like it, but you are so much bigger than that. So if you can get to the point where you can let it go and release it and say that's something that happened to me in the past that I've grown from, that's where you want to get to. Okay, and then finally, what if you're afraid of this happening in your future? That's kind of what I thought what the question was anyway. I wasn't really sure as far as that, but it seemed to me, like I said, my interpretation is they were worried about becoming a POW and that this could be something that happened to them in the future. What about that scenario? Well, first of all, I am a believer that we create our reality, that we manifest our reality, and we do that through our thoughts. So my first recommendation is to stop worrying about it, to stop being afraid of it. Because the more you worry and you are afraid of something, you're pouring energy into it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? Luckily, we do have some guards on us until we get to a much higher state of consciousness where we can create at will, but we have some safeties on us so that it doesn't automatically get created. But the more you're pouring your energy and thoughts into something, the more likely it is to happen, positive and negative. I mean, I worked with a guy who kept on joking around about getting fired. And I was like, you're going to get fired because you keep on saying that. And guess what? He did get fired, and of his own doing, for sure. So don't be pouring negative energy or pouring your energy into a negative experience that you're afraid of in the future. Secondly, I would say, I think it's interesting that if this is the case, that you're really afraid that this is going to happen, I think the opportunity here is to find out why you're so afraid of it. What is it that you're so afraid of about this? I mean, it's very unique, right? Is this possible that this fear is gnawing at you because maybe this happened to you in a previous life? Maybe you are grappling with your own feeling of powerlessness. You're afraid that you're going to have this experience where you're powerless. Maybe you had childhood abuse and you're afraid of that happening again, another form of abuse, in which case this is an opportunity to go back and heal that childhood abuse or work through it, whatever sorts of healing you can do in that area. And maybe it's because there's somebody that you know that went through this. And so therefore it seems a little bit more real and more possible for you. But I still say there's something in you that it's calling, there's something speaking to you here. There's something speaking to you that wants to be seen and recognized. If this is a fear, you're afraid of being victimized. So the opportunity, I think, is to learn this journey where you are not a victim, where you are powerful. You're wanting to feel powerful. You're wanting to feel powerful and safe and loved. Well, we all are. We all are. So I guess finally, to conclude this very uplifting topic, I think the opportunity here is to realize that no matter how dark it gets, and yes, it can get really dark and really hard, who you are is unbreakable. Who you are at your essence is extremely powerful, is full of love for yourself and everyone else, and is unbreakable. The more you can shift into that part of yourself, the more you're able to put these harder challenges behind you so that you don't need them in order to realize how amazing and powerful you are. So here's to some light uplifting experiences ahead, okay? Let's put this torture talk behind us and move on to some happier topics. All right, talk to you later. Bye.